Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Peace and blessings. Happy Saturday. I know it's a little warm in here, but that's okay. It means we have some positive energy going on. I would like to welcome you to Hillside Public Schools. I'm Superintendent Erskine R. Glover, proud superintendent of this great district. Today we come together for a very important conversation, not one that is going to be the final conversation, but it's the launch of what we hope is a great collaborative. As this morning you're going to have before you many folks representing various entities and stakeholders, internal and external, within the Hillside community, Union County, and at large. So I ask that we be attentive, I ask that we ask questions, especially since this conversation is geared towards our young people and the impact that we all know, not just marijuana use, tobacco use, but all of those elements that impact our students' minds. The month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And if you have not done your homework and research, every day we are seeing students, young people, and adults succumb to the pressures of depression, abuse, and many of them are taking their lives. Many of them are turning to alternative resources and sources, narcotics, drugs, alcohol, and sometimes abuse, self-harm, to cope. Today's conversation is about bringing information to you, but it's also about strategies. It's about making sure that when we engage in conversations, we have those necessary tools in our backpack and in our purses to make sure that we give the right information. So let's sit back and welcome the various voices that are coming for you today. We say again, thank you for coming out this morning. We're recording, so if there's a point when you do not wish to be recorded, please just let members of our media know. And as you are going through the rest of the day, please engage with the various stakeholders. To all of our children in the room, our young people, our scholars, thank you for coming out this morning. To all of our educators, we thank you. And to everyone else, welcome to Hillside Public Schools, the great district in the state of New Jersey, in my opinion. I always say I have to do things in order and decency. We have board members here representing. Also, I would like just for our board members to stand and be acknowledged. We have board member Helen and we have board member Eric. Board member Eric is going to bring us greetings on behalf of the Board of Education. Our board president, Barnabas, is at another event today, but she also wanted me to make sure that I extend the greetings on behalf of the Board of Education.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we got a full house in here. So I bring greetings from the Board of Education. I'm here in representation for the board. We're going to have some healthy discussions, so I'd like that you all engage and interact. I want to make sure that we have intentional conversation as well. So I want to say thank you all for supporting and being here, as well as the students that are in the room as well. We want to make sure that we have healthy conversation. So if you do have any questions, we ask that you interact with us. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
Good morning, Hillside.
Good morning.
Thank you. So, as it has already been stated, we will be having healthy conversation. And hopefully we can, blend together, work together, so that we can make a difference in Hillside that possibly can be contagious to our neighboring districts, our neighboring communities, on how we combat the illegal usage of marijuana and vaping in our youth. So we have several people here today, but one I'm going to highlight at this present moment is Dr. Shiva Bhattarai. Thanking my soror, Atia, for getting him from Robert Wood Johnson. So he is a pediatric resident, and he's just going to share with you just some of the things that he sees in the hospitals and emergency rooms as it pertains to this subject matter. He works in Newark Beth Israel as well as Livingston. He worked as the primary care provider for the pediatric hospital for 3 years. His personal interests, he enjoyed playing soccer, hiking, and biking. So he's an outdoorsman. So let's give him a nice round of applause. And they are paging Dr. Shiva, so he has to be the first to speak. So if you could just tell the community what you see at the hospital and regarding the subject matter.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Substance use disorder is like very common problem. So smoking, either is it like cigarettes, e-cigarettes, vaping, marijuana, tobacco, any form is also one of the common substance use. Like actually is the most common substance use disorder among like middle school and high school kids, because we need to understand some of the things like the brain function, the psyche of the growing kids, to understand why they start like anything at first place. So like human beings are growing, our brain is also like developing, especially during adolescent age. It's like the crucial part. It is also called like children are the future or the pillar of the nation. So like the brain is developing. So the psyche is like before adolescence, they are somehow kind of dependent on their parents. They are guarded by their parents, their community, the school teachers, everyone. When they start becoming adolescent, somehow they feel like they should be independent. They have like rebellious things inside, so feel like, so I am who I am. I should be deciding what I am going to do, kind of psyche. So during that time, if they are exposed to this kind of substances, for example, if their parents are smoking, if their parents are using drugs, if their friends are using it, if people around them are using it, and since our market is open market, since the market is like advertising like these things are cool, sexy, and then they feel like, oh, everyone is doing it, let's do it. And then they somehow start. And then the thing about this kind of things, any substance is, they try it for the first time and the brain, it gives like some kind of reaction to it. So if they, most of the substance gives like sense of pleasure, sense of reward, with the secretions of some neurotransmitters, some chemicals in the brain, they feel like, oh, I'm feeling some kind of good experience, different experience. And then with all the available things around, they just continue it. So that's how they got into like addiction. So anyone get into addiction. So yeah, is a doctor, is a pediatrician or a resident doctor working in different part of the world. I'm from Nepal. So this is my information. So when I worked in Nepal, before coming to United States last year, I worked as primary care doctor in one of the pediatric hospitals. I also used to see adult patients. So yeah, most of these patients, they don't usually come to seek like help, like they don't come to seek, they don't come us to seek like they want to quit or something. They only come to like emergency room when they are like intoxicated, if they have like severe symptoms. That happens once in a while. So I would like to share like one experience, like one patient encounter since like wanted me to share. So I remember one of the patients who was like 17 or 18 years. He went to a party. He had like some drinks as well, came back home with friends and had marijuana, the cannabinoids. I don't know the amount. I think he was smoking a lot. He was like crazy when he came to ED. He was kind of like in state of acute psychosis. He was not remembering anything, a lot of things. So basically, if someone has like cannabinoid like toxicity, there is no like antidote or something. So what we can do is like observe him. If there is like any abnormal vital signs, we correct the vital signs. That is what we do. So we just wait for the toxicity to get resolved. So that was one of the experience. Just a 17, 18-year kid having like toxicity. So these things are like really bad. So when we see those kind of things. So yeah. So yeah, when the kid, can I go on?
Okay, I have a question for you. What are some trends that you're seeing in the emergency room as far as usage? Like you mentioned marijuana, but anything particular, any particular product that you see that they're using?
In the emergency room, mostly like cannabinoid toxicity is, I haven't like personally seen like toxicity of like cigarettes or anything, but yeah, in the clinics we do see a lot of like nicotine.
So is it more edibles that you're seeing that's coming in, or is it kids that's possibly smoking vapes, or are they smoking marijuana?
Especially the marijuana and vape.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have seen like gummies and brownies as well, but my personal experience, I have been seeing kids with like marijuana use disorder and vape.
Okay.
And these things like the vape, e-cigarettes and marijuana use has been like increasing recently, around like 10% of high school and like around 5% of the middle school kids, they use marijuana, vape, or this kind of stuff.
Thank you. Are there any questions? They're paging him. So are there any questions for him before he runs to the hospital?
We have a little bit more
A
time.
little bit more time?
Yeah,
Okay.
but you can
Okay.
put other panels.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I took a lot of time.
Good. Okay, so we're gonna now bring up our Prevention Links representative, Ms. Ya. She's gonna share some slides and some trends and some definitions that will be pertinent to the subject matter. So here's some information. Woo. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm just going to put this up here, but I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself. So my name is Ya. I am the Health and Wellness Coalition Coordinator at Prevention Links. At Prevention Links, our mission, well, the Health and Wellness Coalition of Union County's mission is to assess the needs of Union County to enhance collaboration and coordinate prevention efforts that foster a drug-free lifestyle and create healthy communities. And our vision is to create prevention-prepared communities throughout a collaborative effort to reduce underage drinking, marijuana use, the misuse of opioids and prescription drugs, heroin use, and new and emerging drugs across the lifespan throughout Union County. So what I specifically do as the Health and Wellness Coalition Coordinator, that is a mouthful, but I do certain programs that are more in-depth. So once a month from September to June, I have programs like YTAG that aim to teach youth how to stay tobacco-free as well as making their community tobacco-free. So that is held in the Elizabethport Community Center. So like last month, we had our youth come in and we painted turtles. And we talked about how turtles, they're slow to the race, but you know, in life, that's how life is. You have to slowly until you get to your goal. Don't always rush to get to your goal. And then I also have another program called Lead and Seed where we go into schools. I actually come here and do it. And basically it is a program where we talk about different substances. So marijuana, alcohol,
opioids, different things like that. And then the youth at the end of June, or in June, they teach it back basically to their classmates. So Hillside, they are doing marijuana, and they're gonna do like a Jeopardy game. So 10 of them versus 10 of the audience, and they're gonna see who knows more facts about marijuana. And then lastly, I do Don't Get Vaped In. Don't Get Vaped In is a one-time presentation where we go into any school in Union County. You can just request us. We come in and we talk about vaping. These slides that you're gonna see is just a little bit of what we go through in our Don't Get Vaped In. So I'm gonna get started with that. So, what are e-cigarettes? They are battery-powered vaporizers used to inhale liquid nicotine, and it produces a vapor. A lot of times the youth think it's just a water vapor. There's actually no water in vapes at all. It is actually an aerosol containing tiny liquid particles. So as you can see here, we have all these different kinds of vapes. So we have disposable e-cigarettes, pod-based, vape pens and variations, and then tanks and mods. Oops, sorry. With that, I always explain to the youth, with the first disposable e-cigarette, it looks just like a regular e-cigarette. And a lot of the times when it first came out, youth were not buying it. It was mainly young adults and, well, adults, I would say, and elderly people, okay? Because it just looks like a regular cigarette, and no kid would want to be caught with a cigarette. So they came back into their laboratories and they created all these different kinds. And I asked them all the time, what do they look like? Okay? They created these vape pens to look like things that kids use on their everyday, day-to-day life. Okay, I'm gonna also plug this. You guys probably got this handout, Hidden in Plain Sight and Drug Trends. Okay, this kind of goes into this, what I'm talking about, because vape pens and things like that nowadays that I'm seeing, they literally look like pens. You twist it one way and you're able to write with it, write full-on sentences, and then you twist it another way and you can put it to your mouth and hit it like a vape, okay? I've seen them on TikTok, I've seen them on Instagram, I've seen them all over. So the first vape was invented in 2003. And like I said, a lot of youth were not buying it because it just looks like a regular cigarette. So in 2007, when they came out with all these different kinds, it still wasn't popular. It didn't get its popularity until about 2017. So, the age of onset use here in New Jersey starts at 6th grade. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is normally when youth will report using marijuana or vaping for the first time. Some impact of risk factors can be students exposed to higher levels, such as peer pressure, peer substance use. So they might be in a friend group, and I've had students come up to me, and it's a trio, and 2 of them are vaping, and 1 of them is not vaping. And they're like, oh, well, girl, we can't hang out with you no more. Like, you're not vaping, everyone is vaping. This kind of makes us look weird. So that is a issue as well. Family conflict. A lot of times, youth may be going through something at home that they don't feel comfortable enough to come to school and speak to us about, so they turn to substances. Lack of adult support. Again, sometimes youth don't have someone to support their dreams or their wishes, so they turn to substance use. So who is vaping? Here in the United States, there's about 1.6 million US youth in 2024 that reported vaping alone. That could be them trying it for the first time, or if it's just a regular thing for them. Okay, 40% use frequently. So frequently could be, let's say, every Tuesday after soccer practice with their best friend, because they know their best friend comes to school with a vape. And they walk home together, so they can vape as they walk home. Okay, and then 30% use every single day. Every single day. And when I say every single day, like they're waking up and the first thing that they're doing is reaching for their vape. Some of the kids, you know, the people that wear glasses, the first thing I know you do when you wake up is look for your glasses. If your mind has already become rewired to think you need a vape every day, you're not even looking at your glasses. The first thing you're doing is patting your bed, looking around your nightstand for your vape. And 9 out of 10 youth are not even addicted to the way it makes them feel. They're addicted to the flavors. So there's about 30,000 different flavors out there, and they're creating different flavors every single day. Okay? Okay, and then some data. about New Jersey also. So in 2017, like I said, it didn't become popular until then, and 4.4% of adults started to use e-cigarettes. In 2019, 27.6% of high school students used e-cigarettes. In 2022, it decreased to 14%, and in 2023, it decreased to 10%, and then in 2024, 5.9% of middle and high school students reported current use of e-cigarettes. And in 2024, we decided to throw middle school students in there because a lot of middle school students, they're not the oldest child. I usually ask them, raise your hand if you're the oldest, and it'll be like 1 or 2. Now raise your hand if you're like the middle, and then most of them will raise their hand, or the youngest. So that tells me like they have older siblings at home that they can possibly be watching that maybe are vaping, because I know when I was growing up, I'm the 3rd child. I used to follow everything my older sisters used to do. If they're putting on mascara, I'm putting on mascara. If they're putting a cross on their head, I'm putting a cross on my head, just because they were my older sibling. So, what is cannabis? So, cannabis, marijuana, and weed are all the same thing. It's just different for the age group. So, normally, younger kids will say weed, right, or marijuana. Us adults will usually say cannabis. So it is only legal for those 21 and over. Although it is legal, a lot of times kids still don't understand that you have to be 21 in order to use it, okay? It's only legal for those 21. THC is a psychoactive ingredient in cannabis/marijuana. A lot of people don't know that as well. And typically, it can be smoked, vaped, mixed into foods such as edibles, or inhaled from concentrates such as dabbing. Okay. And then this is just some data that we collected. So why are teens vaping? I usually like to ask this before I start the presentation, but this is what I collected. So the number one, well, not the number one, but the first one I always get is peer pressure, okay? Like I said, you might have a friend or family member that has used it. Well, I'll say family member. Let's start with family. You might have grown up with, let's say, your favorite uncle that has started smoking cigarettes, and then he moved over to smoking vapes. You look at him and he's fine, he's running, jumping, doing great since you were a child. And you might think, okay, well, if he's doing that, I can do it too. Or like I said, you might have a group of friends and you're the only one that is not vaping or smoking marijuana or doing anything out of that friend group. And they might peer pressure you into trying to use that substance. 40% of youth in New Jersey report that. Next is flavors. So like I said, there's about 30,000 different flavors out there, and they're creating different flavors every single day. So the availability of flavors such as mint candy, fruit, or chocolate and menthol reported as the most popular flavors. So just to get like, give an example, there's flavors like they'll take Jolly Rancher sour apple and let's say Laffy Taffy banana, I don't know, and mix them together, and that's a new flavor. And they'll say, okay, well, if you like sour apple Jolly Ranchers or you like Laffy Taffy banana, this is a new combination for you. Come and try it out. And a lot of youth, because they are addicted to candy and sugar and things like that, they will go out there and try it and buy it, okay? 90% of youth report that. 90%. That's a very big number. Next is the belief. So there is a belief that e-cigarettes are less harmful than other forms of tobacco, such as cigarettes, okay? I use the example of if we were to, let's say, cut open a cigarette, we would see what is in a cigarette. So we would see the nicotine, we would see the tobacco, the foam piece, the paper that's using to wrap everything together. So you would see all the contents. But if we were to crack a vape open, you would see wires, plastic, and then you would see oil. But you would never know what exactly was in that oil to give it that flavor or that substance, correct? Next are some potential health risks. So first one, very biggest one being nicotine addiction, okay, which goes into the brain development. Youth, their brains are developing every single day, and they are very vulnerable to addiction. I use the example of slime. Okay, slime is their brain. You can mold it into any shape at a very young age, right? Everything that they learn throughout their lives is put into the slime. And let's say one day they just drop the slime at the park. It's on the ground, it's dirt, right? They pick it back up, it's still dirty, right? So the slime is the brain and then the dirt is the substance. Although they try to wipe it off, they can do that, but if they keep dropping it, right, they keep dropping it, it just becomes eventually a ball of dirt, okay? They are at an increased risk for heart disease. They're 3 times more likely to try regular cigarettes, okay? And I put that in there as a little interactive point, because usually at this point the kids are like, okay, this lady's talking too much, I don't want to hear about her no more. But I use this and I ask them, how many of you have $20 in your pocket? Oh, any of the youth, how many of you have $20 in your pocket? Okay. Okay. So I say that because here in New Jersey, this vape right here is the most popular vape. Okay, it's $25 and it has a screen on it. Youth are able to connect their phones to, Bluetooth connect their phones. They can play music. They can put their contacts on there. They can write notes, okay? Do all those type of things. So I asked them, how many of you have $20? Normally they'll all put their hands up, and I'm like, okay, pull it out right now. Show me you have $20. And then they'll put their hands down because they realize they don't, okay? So yeah. And they're 3 times more likely to buy regular cigarettes because 9 times out of 10, youth are more, especially 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they're more likely to have 5 to 10 unless they're, their parents are giving them lunch money, then they're misusing their lunch money. It serves as a gateway for other drugs, such as cocaine, heroin, and alcohol, okay? A lot of you say, oh, well, I'm just vaping. I'll never smoke marijuana. You don't know. One day you can go and say, oh, I'm going to go buy a nicotine vape, and then you buy a THC vape. That's an easy entry into smoking marijuana, okay? You might say, okay, I'm done with this marijuana vape. I'm going to actually go and start smoking marijuana, the pure version. It happens, okay? Things like that can lead to lung irritation, which can sometimes lead to death, asthma attacks, e-liquid poisoning. Like I said, we don't know what they're putting in these vapes to give it these flavors and things like that. Battery explosions. Battery explosions is a very big one because if they're making millions and millions of these vapes a day, they're not really looking into these batteries and testing them to see if they are okay. And there's thousands and millions of explosions, okay? You can have a faulty vape the first time you buy it and it could explode right then and there. You can be using it for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and it could explode at any given time. There's been plenty of stories where kids are bringing vapes into school and hiding them in the ceilings of the bathroom and causing school bathrooms to catch on fire, teachers' desks to catch on fire, principal desks to catch on fire because they're just blowing up at any given time. And then popcorn lungs. Popcorn lungs is a sickness that can happen to your lungs after smoking vapes for a long period of time. And then lack of regulation, online sales to minors. So this is very important because nowadays they have vapes online where you can literally just purchase it. Okay, they ask you, are you 21 and over? And they're not gonna really check, is this person that's on this website really 21 and over? The kid is just pressing yes. There's a certain website, it's called Muhammad's. It's been a very big problem in a lot of the schools I've been going into. They're able to order the vapes online and get it shipped right to their house, okay? They're asking them, are they 21 and older? Once you press yes, it gives you access right into the website. And they're not verifying if you're actually 21 by, let's say, asking you to upload ID or anything. They're just saying, are you 21? Normally someone would press yes. So yeah, that's a very big problem. And then I put this in here just to show you what happens when you're vaping. So the nicotine is drawn into the lungs, rapid delivery of nicotine to the brain and the lungs. It creates a buzz feeling, and when these nicotine levels begin to drop, it creates cravings, and your brain starts to tell you, hey, pick up your vape, take a few more hits, okay? And then, like I said, it's not just harmless water vapor. You have things like volatile organic compounds, nicotine, ultrafine particles, cancer-causing chemicals such as formaldehyde, heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead, and then flavorings such as diacetyl, which is a chemical linked to a serious lung disease known as popcorn lungs. So diacetyl is in microwavable popcorn. It's okay for you to eat. Your stomach acid breaks it down, but when you are inhaling it into your lungs, that's where the problem comes in and can cause a serious lung disease. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys some marketing. So this is how they basically are kind of getting the kids with these different commercials and advertising. So down there especially, that's New York City. So when you go to New York City, you know, they have all these screens. Companies like Jewel and a bunch of other companies will literally rent out some days, like New Year's Eve, will rent out multiple screens just to advertise one product to get these youth to buy it. Because they know at least one, two, a few of you will look up at that screen and remember those colors or remember that beautiful woman that was sitting there smoking a vape, okay? And then lastly, this is how they're targeting our youth. So what happens after you quit smoking and start vaping? That doesn't make sense, right? Because realistically, if you quit smoking, yeah, how can you quit smoking and start vaping? It's just another form of smoking. And this was actually found in a New Jersey smoke shop, trying to convince people, okay, well, stop smoking cigarettes and start vaping, it's much better for you. Okay, so everything on here is a lie. It says, in a year, your sense of smell and taste improves and your risk of heart attack is cut in half. It's a lie, it's actually doubled. In 12 hours, the carbon monoxide in your lungs drops back to normal. It does not. It does not at all, okay? And then in the middle, we have like these sparkly kind of vapes, okay? When I go to the younger schools, so like 4th, 5th, 6th, I show them like this image specifically, and a lot of times they're like, oh, it's so sparkly, it's so cute, where do I'm not telling you where to get it, it's an advertisement, that's how they're getting you. A lot of young girls especially, that's the first thing that comes to their mind. So sparkly, it's so cute, I wanna hold it. That's how they are getting you, okay? And then lastly is an advertisement for students specifically. So you see they have a computer, they have an agenda, sticky note, pen, and then they have a to-do list. So the first one being study, 2 groceries, 3 band practice, and then 4 vape time. I usually ask the youth, what do you see wrong with this image? And 9 times out of 10, they will say, they don't see it at first, but it's hidden, it's not even hidden, it's right there in plain sight, but sometimes a lot of youth overlook it. They think it's a pen, because that's the point. They're trying to kind of confuse you a little bit. And then they also look at the to-do list and see that, okay, number one, you need to study, right? You guys are all in school, you need to study in order to excel. 2, groceries. You know, after a long day, you're hungry, you have to get groceries. 3, band practice. If you want to be the best you in whatever you do, you have to practice. 4, vape time. 4 is not important. You're putting aside time to basically harm yourself, which makes no sense, right? And that's it. That's all I have for you guys today.
Very informative. She gave us the A through Z's of what's going on in vaping. We're going to excuse Dr. Shiva. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't come into full session today because I'm called to the hospital to cover the floor. I promise next time I'll definitely stay here for more time. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So now we're going to get to our first panel discussion. We're going to start with board member Eric Okai, who is a proud graduate of Hillside High School. His profession, he's in higher education. He's a senior EFO counselor. His area of expertise is dealing with students of color, men of color, and undergraduates. He's had 10 years of experience as a mentor. He's raising 2 Hillside graduates, and he has established a mentorship program at Montclair State University. Let's give Mr. Eric Okai a nice round of applause as he shares his thoughts.
So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much for being in attendance. One thing that I did want to share is a story of a mentee of mine. We started in 2016 the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Great kid. didn't have his father in his life, so his mother enrolled him into the program, and she was adamant about getting him a mentor. So we first connected. I let him know that you're my brother, even outside of this program. We developed so much and connected, and now he's at the age of, I think it's like 22, 23. So he boxes, super athletic, into sports, into technology. He works for PSE&G. He has a great full-time job. He was looking to get into NJIT. Everything was going great, and he took a trip over to Houston. So I'm just like, yo, do that, have fun, enjoy yourself, see the world, travel, do everything that you want to do, because the direction that he was headed in, he had a very promising future. He went to Houston, and when he came back, I think I was watching boxing on television, so I sent him a screenshot of two people fighting. So I didn't get a response from him, but I got a call from his mother. His mother informed me that while he was out there in Houston, somebody gave him some marijuana, but it was laced. So it triggered schizophrenia in him. So as a result, he was no longer that same young man that I knew. Even now, currently, he's in and outside of the psych ward because sometimes he doesn't remember to take his medication. It's been very challenging for me because we've been able to build and connect so much, but then one unfortunate circumstance changed his life forever. We talk daily, but our conversations are so different because he's not able to articulate himself like he once was. I have several different mentees, and sometimes the reason why they start to engage is because they have anxiety. They don't know how to fit in. They feel like they don't know who they are yet. So I'll ask questions like, all right, so why do you do it? Most of the responses is, I don't know. Okay, so let's turn that I don't know into who are you? So I'm very intentional in how I engage and how I connect. And the focal point for me is understanding who you are, where your family comes from, because all that lies in identity. So once I figure out those pieces and then connect with the family, we start to build a framework of who you are and why it's important to move accordingly in terms of what legacy you're trying to create. So it's making sure that we take the right steps, because peer pressure is everything. You want to make sure that you're super cool with those that are around you. You don't want to feel like you're outside of the community that you're trying to build. But the community kind of forms around you because you know who you are in any space. So I have one mentee that has never smoked, has never drank, because his family comes from alcoholism. So he understands that I don't want to be like the rest of these people in this environment. I want to do something different. And having, I don't want to toot my own horn, but having a role model like me, it's scary because I feel like sometimes I can't make any mistakes because he's watching me so closely. But I do make every effort to be transparent with everything that I do and make sure that if you are watching me, this is the direction and model that I'm providing you. So we'll have intentional conversations about everything. Like, I'm super transparent. And how I live my life, I make sure that I'm a representation of what you can be, and you don't have to do everything in alignment with what I do. Like, you're your own person, but I make sure every time I speak or every time I do something, it's something that can be recognized as something positive.
Thank you. We're going to go to the police department. We have two representatives. I need the other, we have two representatives from the police department, and they're going to share with the community what they're seeing in regards to the subject matter. So Lieutenant, who's at your extreme end, Lieutenant Cosimo Tripoli, is a detective, lieutenant, a CID commander. He was also an overseas juvenile detective. He was a SLEO and an SRO. Some of his areas of expertise is terrorism, firearms, major investigations, juveniles, and ABC intelligence, field intelligence officer. He has 26 years in the Hillside Police Department. He's a recipient of numerous awards. He's a son of immigrants and the first police officer in his family. He moved up the ranks to be a detective and a lieutenant in Hillside Police Department. He enjoys mentoring youth, particularly coaching sports, basketball, and soccer. He loves cooking and spending time with family. Please give him a round of applause for being here. Sitting right next to him is Detective Antone Brown. He's a juvenile detective. Some of his special areas of interest is juveniles, bias incidents, and animal cruelty. His background, he's worked for DCP&P, DIFAS, particularly in Newark for 8 years and 16 years as a police officer in Hillside. He's received various awards of achievement through law enforcement, and his special interest is a community awareness and juveniles community in partnership with the community. Let's give Detective Antoine.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to the superintendent, to Ms. Melba for putting this together. It's very important. It's not only a Hillside problem, it's a state of New Jersey problem and a countrywide problem.
Officer Tripoli, say speak up in the mic.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I wanted to thank the superintendent, Ms. Melba, for putting this together. It's very important. It's not just a Hillside problem, it's a state of New Jersey problem, also a United States of America problem. What we're seeing, I'll go with the trends, but just so everyone understands, there's a misunderstanding. Marijuana is still illegal. What New Jersey did in 2021 was decriminalize certain small amounts of possession of it. Federally, it's still illegal. We have been hindered with how we enforce criminally. However, we're not here for that. We're here to spread awareness. So what we're seeing is between 12 and 17 years old, we're seeing marijuana possession, we're seeing the vaping, e-cigarettes. Also, I want to just emphasize prescription medication, we've seen it. If you have prescription medications in your homes, please lock them up. We are seeing that in small amounts, but we have seen it. Just some facts, the 10 most abused drugs. Alcohol is number 1, marijuana is 2 on the list, and number 3 is pain relievers. And we know different types of pain relievers, right? Codeine, hydrocodone, fentanyl. We are seeing it, in small amounts, but I wanted to emphasize that too. The 5 most addictive drugs are heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine. Well, like I said, the 10 most abused, alcohol, marijuana, and pain relievers amongst 12 to 17-year-olds. Here in Hillside, we've seen the brownies, we've seen the Rice Krispie treats, gummies, all laced with marijuana, THC. We're finding that the vape pens and the e-cigarettes, they're containing THC, which is a byproduct of marijuana. And we all know that marijuana is a mind-altering drug, right? And Ma from Prevention, she did a wonderful job and very informative, breaking everything down. I actually brought literature, and she did a wonderful job, so I'm not even going to go into that. Detective Brown, he's the juvenile officer for Hillside. Anything that happens in Hillside regarding a juvenile matter goes right to Detective Brown, and he handles it. His function is to educate, offer resources, and rehabilitate the youth. That's what we're doing here, so we can help them enter adulthood, less likely to commit crimes. I'll pass the mic over to him, and he can go over a few things.
Good morning,
Once again, good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank everybody for allowing us to be a part of this event. I strongly believe that it's about partnership. It's about partnership. A lot of juveniles as well as adults, they see the police department as the enemy, the ops, as the kids, juveniles would say. But here in Hillside, particularly myself as a juvenile detective, I try to bridge the gap whenever possible. I always have an open door policy. A lot of adults in here that I've worked with can call me anytime. They have a question, concern, call me. If I can't get back to you, if I'm not at my desk, leave a message, I'll get back to you. But to say further, the vaping epidemic and the marijuana epidemic, at first I looked at it like, wow, they just legalized marijuana, what next? With juveniles is a tough area in law enforcement. Adults think that we can charge juveniles at any time, any place. It doesn't work that way.
The state pretty much has us handcuffed in terms of doing certain things with juveniles. So as a juvenile detective, my job is, like I said, to make awareness to adults in terms of the juvenile laws. They try not to charge a juvenile because they don't want that juvenile to have a record going into the future, which is great. I'm all about that. But again, it takes partnership. It starts in the home, and parents need to realize that. Going back to the marijuana thing, I became very, 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 very alert a couple weeks ago when I got a report of a third grader going into the school system, and they found a bag of marijuana on this kid, a lighter, and 2 rolled up blunts. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Of course, we had to make a DCPMP referral. I spoke with mom, and mom was like, I don't know where he got it. Didn't know where he got it. Mom admitted to smoking, but she said that she locks her marijuana up in the safe, right? Like a couple of panelists said, kids watch what you do at all times, so we have to be mindful of what we're doing for the kids. So, not pointing things at anybody, but it starts with awareness. Know what your kid is doing. Know what's in your kid's book bag when you leave the house. You know? Watch what you do around them. That's important. That's important. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, I have an open door policy. You need mentorship, we have resources, I'll give you resources. Also, so with this vaping epidemic, we can't charge a minor with the vapes. So what we do is we provide the parent with the underage possession, consumption legal form. In the state space, pretty much what happened in terms of what was found on their child, what it contained. We send those products, we confiscate those products, we send them to the lab to find out what's in them. From there, these kids get first, second, and third warnings, right? The first warning consists of awareness, right? The second warning consists of, I'm gonna give the parent, listen, this is the second time this has happened. Here's some resources. Please, get your child help if needed. I can't force it, but I can recommend it. The third one, it's a little more serious. I can kind of do a station house adjustment in lieu of charging that kid, which is only a disorderly person's offense, which honestly is not going to do anything but put a stain on that child's record. I try to do a station house adjustment, kind of guide them and kind of force them to go into a treatment program before it gets worse. So, like I said, if you guys have any other questions on anything, and it doesn't have to just be with the marijuana which we discussed today, it's other things that are increasing in the school systems with juveniles. I'm not going to touch on that today, but it's more than just marijuana. We have bias incidences that are occurring, and the kids are, I'm going to call it ignorance. They don't know what they say before they say it. They don't know the meaning behind some of the things they say. And it's up to us as adults and parents to educate our kids and let them know, like, listen, you can't say this and that and the third because another person, someone else may be offended. So it's up to us, like I said, it's a teacher moment, and like I'm working with you guys, I need you guys to work with me as well. And like my door is an open door. Please reach out to me if needed. Thank you.
Also, before we conclude this event, I'm going to leave my email address here, and Detective Brown will offer his email address too. And I'm open to. I'm like him, 24/7. I'm reachable. You'll have my cell phone number, my email address. If you have any information, anyone selling, distributing anything to any minor, email me. I keep everything confidential. Also, I know we had a few. We have some information that there's some stores selling product to juveniles. We can enforce that. However, the primary enforcer of tobacco products is the health department. So I've reached out to the state already. They're short-staffed. I've passed some information on to them to enforce, and I also have passed on to the health department regarding the sales of product, vaping, e-cigarettes, even just regular cigarette, Marlboro Newports, to the health department. They have initiated some investigations. It is hard for us to go in there, but I can't compel a store to let me inspect their premises. I do the ABC in town. With the ABC laws, the owner of that establishment has to cooperate with me and has to allow me entry into that establishment, or they can risk losing their license. However, these little corner stores that are selling to the youth, that's enforced through the health department, but we will assist them with any investigation. So before the event's over, please come see me at Detective Brown. I'll give you my information. Anything you have, just please email me. Like I said, it's confidential. I won't put your information out there. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to hear from our Councilwoman, Andrea Lawrence Hyatt. Her professional role, a legislator, Councilwoman 10 years, CEO of Hyatt Financial Accounting and Management Consulting, CEO of Andrea Hyatt's Sharing the Love Civic Association, areas of expertise, accounting, business operations, background, 30 years of accounting and business, corporation, nonprofit, and municipal accounting, 10 years as a councilwoman, and 6 years as a county committee. She has some accomplishments: executive MBA candidate, global, council president 2 years, chair of the finance committee 6 years, council vice president 2 years, and she is a charter school board member for 8 years. Of course, she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She's a chaplain, executive board member of 6 years, and she is a member of Agape Family Worship Center. She's also a board member there, 8 years. Let's give Councilman Hyatt a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to start by thanking Melba Mullins and Superintendent Glover. We've heard a lot of information about what's actually going on with our children and within the school system. And it's saddening because a lot of this information I wasn't aware of until she told me about the program, and I learned a lot here today. So to the point of Detective Brown, where he says it all comes down to partnerships, we used to have a municipal alliance. The municipal alliance was responsible for advocating for students within the school system in the district, whether it be against any type of substance abuse. And as some of you know, Melba Mullins was the coordinator for that program. And I honestly believe with the reinstatement of a program like that, we could help the students a little better, because what she's put together here today is actually all of the pieces of the puzzle that we would need to properly address the issues of substance abuse with our children. We've heard a lot of information about the impact of what the substance abuse is showing up as in our communities, as well as why students are leaning toward different things to help cope with whatever it is that they're going to. So when we think about legislators and we think about policy, the discussion needs to turn to what can we do. So we've looked at a number of ordinances which were provided by Melba, and we've also talked about some ordinances as they relate to state-level legislation regarding marijuana. But now what we have to do is sit down with the police department and each of the members at the school who have any information that could enlighten us about the type of policies we need to create and implement so that they will have the tools they need to enforce it when the situation arises. We also need to consider what preventative measures we can put into law so that we can help proactively avoid some of the situations that are taking place. So when we talk about policy and understanding that policy also has to go through a process, as our sister here from the county mentioned, she spelled out every detail of what her program is seeing take place with these children. So that lets us know we need new legislation at the county level as well. So that what we can do is, as residents, as parents, as individuals who are now more enlightened about the subject matter, we need you all to speak up, whether it be a petition or anything else, and push for the legislation that we need. Because like I said, legislation goes through a process. The ordinance that we received from Melba Mullins, we have now forwarded to the township attorney for review. He will review that documentation to determine if any modifications need to be made to it in its current state so that it can be applied properly in Hillside. Because not every ordinance applies to every municipality in the state that it currently exists. But we want to make sure that we put something in place that will benefit what's going on here. So once we get that information back from him, his approval, any modifications that he thinks we need to make, then we can seek input from our police department, from our leaders. Mr. Okai gave some awesome information from our superintendent so that we can ensure that we incorporate everything necessary at each level into that law so that it can be properly enforced. But we need you all to say, we need legislation. We need you guys to call, whether it be your council members, because the council is your legislative body. Call your council people, email your council people, and simply say, based on the state of emergency that was discussed at the Hillside High School regarding substance abuse, we need you all to do the work that's necessary to create an ordinance, number one, and number two, to reinstate the municipal alliance, so that a proper collaboration between the school district, the Board of Education, the police department, and the governance of the township would actually be doing what's necessary to help the students as it relates to substance abuse. So if I can get everybody in here, if you could just commit to contacting your council person, tell them two things. You need legislation to support the advocacy of substance abuse for the students. And number two, you need the reinstatement of the municipal alliance. Can I get you all to do that? Because the only way we win, like Detective, I want to say his last name, Brown said, is if we do it as a partnership and we work together to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to have some comments from Superintendent Glover. He opened the program up. Let's greet him with a round of applause.
Yes. So I understand sitting there and hearing someone talk to, so can everyone just stand up for a second and just stretch? Because I think sometimes we gotta move, can't sit still, sit idle. Just stand up for a quick minute, stretch, get your arms and body loose. I promise you I'm not gonna speak more than 2 minutes because I have questions for you as opposed to talking to you, talking at you. Everything that's been said to you, I don't need to sit here and reiterate. From the standpoint of an educator, we understand the importance of this topic. But here's the questions I'm going to put on your doorstep. If the governor of the state of New Jersey put out an immediate broadcast that we're in a state of emergency, all hands on deck. Law enforcement, fire, every municipality, every organization under the governor's purview draws their attention to that reason for being a state of emergency. I'm so tired as an adult of this, my 55 years of being on this earth, of hearing that it's about our children and the future and the legacy we leave for them. Everything's about our children. Well, if it's about our children, this is a state of emergency. And Councilwoman Hyatt said it best. What are you prepared to do? These conversations can happen all the time. But what are you prepared to do? We riot, we protest, we do petitions when they're going to stop TikTok. We get upset when our favorite TV show may no longer be on. But that same energy that we had when we saw
the beating of Rodney King, the murder of George Floyd. That same energy needs to be addressed to this. Superintendent, why is it such a passion? Because I understand what marijuana use, vapes, is doing to our children. Folks, our children are addicted. There's no other way to put it. They're addicted. And the story of the third grader that came into our school recently is not made up. Our students are addicted. Our children are addicted. So if we're really concerned about the future of our children, here's what I put at your doorstep. Understand the why children are doing what they're doing. It may be us as adults and something we're doing in the home. It may be the way you're actually greeting them and they wake up in the morning. Do you give your child a hug and say, I love you? Not just because, but with intentionality. Do you understand the impact of everything that they do from day one to the time they leave the house to the time they walk back in? The traumas and experience they have from walking to the corner store sometimes may be a level of frustration. Understand the impact. And I'm sorry, I may be unpopular, and I may not be able to walk in the store in Hillside, but forgive me. I understand the limitations of our law enforcement, but you have the power of the pen. You have the power of the purse. You don't have to go and give your dollar to a store, a business owner that is not doing right for our kids. Stop going to them. Stand in front of them in the morning and protest. If you're a middle school student that likes to frequent certain stores on your way to school, parents, be standing there saying, you can't go in there this morning. You can't go in there after school. Because this location here in Hillside is doing something that's harming our children. You think a store owner's going to push 20 people away from their door fronts? You think the police are going to come and say they're doing wrong because they're just exercising their civil liberties? That's the power of your feet and the power of your voice. So let's talk about what we can do for our schools. In the last part, can we please unite and be advocates of this work? Councilwoman Hyatt said it best. If the municipal alliance can't be started because we have to have some formal, we can meet on our own. Set up the date, the time. The high school is always open. Any one of our schools is always open. Let's see who's there. We'll show up, we'll talk, and we'll organize. In this country still, last time I checked, the Constitution says we're allowed to organize. So let's organize if we're really concerned about the state of our children. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to transition over to hear some more speakers. Do you have any questions for the speakers at this table currently? Are there any questions? One question here.
Yes. Maybe more so for the police department. If there's a parent that feels that their child may be utilizing drugs, where can parents take their children to get drug tested? Can you repeat the question?
If a parent feels like their child is under the influence or possibly using drugs, where could they take their child to get tested? I can answer that question. So as the district SAC for Hillside Public Schools, parents, you have choices. You could take the child yourself to any emergency room, any med-emerge, and they will test what they call the panel test. And they will test your child, and it will tell you whether or not they're positive or negative for marijuana. I do not, some parents say, well, I'll just go to the pharmacy and I'll get the test myself. Those tests sometimes are not accurate. Your other option is if the child is a student at Hillside Public Schools and a parent comes and says, I think, I need your help, we will pay for the child to get tested.
okay? When we were younger, you had liquor and beer. I remember as a kid waiting till my parents had their New Year's party and sipping the beer cans empty. So it's a different thing now. We have social media. We have milk shops. Why are we allowing these things for our kids to get? And yet when they get hooked, they're kids. They don't know. They're going to try anything. I smoked for years, but I stopped. But I was around people that didn't smoke. I couldn't go to places that could smoke. So we have to do something. We can't wait on the system to help our children. We have to start at home.
Thank you.
We have to get to the bottom of this because it's getting worse. If they don't even know how to smoke a joint, as they call it, they can go on the internet and learn how to do it.
That's true.
They have so much baggage that they have to deal with besides everyday life. So we have to be strong enough to help our children. As parents, we don't want our kids to do this because we had to this and that. We have to stop that. We have to say no. You can't be sleeping in anybody's house and we don't go. Well, we went to a party where our parents knew where the house was, what time it was over, and what time to get home. So we have to start being adults because our children depend on us. I don't have any young kids. I worked for the school system for 42 years, so I know what goes on. We are their example, and we must step out and say we're not going to allow this. And we can't do it individually. We got to be a community. We got to look at our neighbors, what our kids are doing, report to the neighbors. And that's what we have to do. I really feel that. Because everything else is not going to work if we don't get our boots on the ground.
Yes. Well said, well said.
Hello, my name is Taisha Jackson. Now, I may be one of the few people that are here. I am a 100% disabled veteran. I was in the United States Navy. I worked with a holistic doctor for over 15 years. The reason for me coming to this meeting is because I do live in Hillside. I'm a homeowner here. I have children, well, 3 of my sons are all grown, but I do have a daughter that's 13 who's in Hillside School. Now, I'm coming because I am a medical marijuana patient. Yes. Mm-hmm. I learned about the benefits of the plant itself. I was not a smoker. I did not condone it. I grew up in a family, just like everybody else in Jersey City. I was a project baby and saw people smoking it, saw family members that didn't smoke it. I had my own opinion as to why I didn't want to use it. I then had an injury years later, and I also ended up working with a doctor who also specialized in holistic medicine. I think our problem is that we are not able as a Black community to teach our children or even the community about the benefits of certain plants. Marijuana from the street, yes, it has things that we do not or may not even know what's added to it. But if we are in a regulated or it's grown regularly and it has been processed and there are no like GMOs, which is, and I don't want to get too technical, but what I wanted to speak on behalf of is that marijuana from the street and what we're teaching these kids and what the kids are seeing is different than if you have someone who has expertise in the benefits of the plant. I have a daughter that is autistic. I had to fight to be able to get my daughter CBD. It is not part of the plant that people are smoking to get high. There is a difference. And I wanted to come because all we see is the signs of marijuana. There's a stigma on the plant itself, but there are healing agents. I am standing as a representative. I'm here to tell you that the plant CBD has healing benefits. It's known to cure cancer. It's known to shrink cancer cells. It is known to be a good thing for pain management. If people know that there are military veterans out here that suffer with pain from trauma or anything that they experience in the military, the plant has added benefits. The part that is hurting our community is that we are not allowing others to know about the benefits. And there is a right way to do things, and there is not a right way to do things. Like I told my sons, who are 28, 27, and 25, going out there on the street getting marijuana is different than going to a dispensary. Yes, the government has stipulations that they can't use certain things and they can't have additives to it that cause, which are supposed to be cancer causing. But when we don't raise our children to find out different things about this plant, and I'm not saying that kids out here smoking marijuana is good. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, please stop putting a stigma on marijuana. These kids that are just smoking it and they're going out there getting high, there is a difference. But the plant itself has added very, very good resources as far as for healing. It's been known if your child has autism, any type of speech impediment, CBD is very beneficial. I saw it in my own daughter. Not the marijuana plant, but the CBD out of it. I learned how to make my own medicine. I was a part of plenty of advocates down in South Jersey when doctors were fighting to make medical marijuana legal. They wanted to legalize it because the government themselves was making money. We know the criminal side of it, but let's take the criminal side out of it all the time. It's knowledge and it's awareness.
Thank you for your comments. Before you came, we spoke about marijuana being legal for those that are 21 or older, and also we spoke about the police did speak about legal marijuana for those that's using it for a health benefit. Particularly today, we're speaking of our children in the high school or the community in the period that are vaping with marijuana. So that's the purpose of our state of emergency.
Oh, okay.
All right. So thank you for your comments. One more comment, because okay, go ahead, because we're going to flip the panel.
I'll make it really quick, but I'll stand up also. No, I was just going to say that, you have to know the difference between medical and regular marijuana. But even with regular, with marijuana that they're selling in these different shops or whatever, you can't necessarily trust that they're putting what they're supposed to put in it, because they've had so many problems, and now they've got synthetic marijuana. So, you have to tell your children that, hey, when you're on the street getting this stuff, you don't know what's in it, and you need to leave it alone. Like I said, unless you're going to grow it in your backyard, you don't know what you're getting. So you have to be very careful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you. We want to give the first panel another round of applause, and we want to bring our second panel so we can. So we're going to have Ms. Gwendolyn Watts, who is a longtime community advocate in Hillside. Ms. Miriam Cortez, who is the Union County Mental Health Administrator. We're going to have Chief Carey from the Hillside Fire Department to speak. We're also going to have Councilman Craig Epps.
My name is Rashawn Carey. I'm the fire chief at the Hillside Fire Department. And so we are a fire and EMS-based agency. Hillside runs about 10 to 12 medical calls a day, and we have one ambulance. That is a lot of calls. Our call volume has increased tremendously over the last 10 years, and it used to be the common calls for EMS, a trip, a fall, but now we are seeing a major increase in the age range and number of medical reasonings why we are being called. People are calling for stomach issues, they're calling for breathing problems, and this is a younger generation. We're talking kids that don't normally have medical problems. And for us, when we get a call about a medical problem, our job is to investigate, but also we're going to deploy medical care and try to transport as fast as possible. So in that time frame, a lot of times people are not very forthcoming with information. We have to do some detective work. And what we are finding out is that some of these younger kids are using illegal substances. And now what that does for us is we have to determine, if we can, what the prognosis is going to be, also while trying to transport. There's two avenues. Either you're going to the ER, or if it's determined, you may go to a psych ward. And I say that to the younger generation, that's not something you want to place yourself on. If we cannot determine what the problem is, but do our medical assessment, determine that it may not be a medical reasoning, and you're under the influence, you will potentially go to a psych ward, and at that point, you'll be placed into a system. It's not something that you want to take lightly or something that's going to show up on your record. Also, on the medical side, having the difficulty of breathing, if you've never experienced it, it's not something you want to have lifelong. And with these type of issues, with the vaping, with the marijuana use, what happens is a lot of times people are developing a lot of medical problems that's going to last a lifetime. It's going to shorten your lifespan. You have no idea what you're inhaling. And I say that I say that strongly, because you may see your peers, you may see your family members smoke, and you think it looks appealing, something you want to be a part of, but what you are ingesting are toxins. This will affect your body. The human brain keeps growing up to the age of 25. If you start early, you surely will have additional problems. You might suffer from depression, anxiety. Like these issues will increase. And I say that because you don't think about, or a lot of times kids don't think about the future. They don't think about what's going to happen if they will be able to move around. You don't want to be bedridden. You don't want to be stuck to a hospital or going to see a doctor 2-3 times a week. For us, we come to the high school often for smoking. It sets off the fire alarm and we come. And a lot of times whoever was responsible is gone, so we have no time to educate. The only time we really can is when we are en route to the hospital if we get an accurate story. So I tell people, again, think about what you're doing, think about your future. To see your peers do it, it may seem appealing and you want to be on the in crowd and be accepted, it is not. Your health is all you have. And if you want longevity on this earth, you need to take it seriously. On the other side, on the fire side, we haven't responded to house fires, where if kids have been burned, houses have burned down, and I will say it's a pain. If you ever burned yourself, it's a pain you don't never want to endure. And if you're using these vapes, you have no idea where they came from, you have no idea how they were constructed, and they do explode. And when they explode, it's going to destroy whatever is within close proximity, which is usually your lips, your nose, and that's going to lead to an additional problem. In addition to going to a burn center for about 6 weeks. I don't know anyone here that wants to experience a skin graft. So it's something to take seriously. You don't want a family member or someone in your household to be killed in a fire, because it's usually never actually the fire, it's always the smoke. The smoke is toxic. So the same smoke in a house fire, you can almost equivalent that to what you're putting inside of your body. And while you may think 1 or 2 puffs is okay, it's fine, what we are seeing is now a younger generation of kids that are going to the ER and that are staying there, and that are being transported weekly because they can't breathe, because they have trouble eating, they have trouble swallowing. Once you develop a form of cancer or some abnormality, that's pretty much it. There usually is no discourse to change that. So I add to the younger, also to the parents as well, to really understand your children, try to understand like what they're going through. We all were young, we all wanted to be alive at one point and be accepted by our peers, but education is key here. So.
Good morning. I have to look at the clock to make sure. I don't do well sitting. First of all, I'd like to say good morning to all of you. As she had said, my name is Gwendolyn Watts, and I have lived in Hillside for exactly, as of this past March, 55 years. So, that was paying tax too, by the way. When I moved to Hillside, I would take my son on his tricycle to Valley Fair. There was no 78, no Highway 78. That was Valley Fair's parking lot. When I tell you that I now live 2 blocks, we're really a block and a half in from 78, and I live on a corner lot of the corner of Wainwright Street. I say that to give you an idea of what this looks like when you heard about the vaping, the marijuana. It might, I don't know if it would or not. It might surprise you to know that there have been times when I've sat on my deck and watched beautiful convertibles and all sorts of cars and all kinds of beautiful suburban young ladies and young men pull around the corner where I live, get out, get back in, and go right back down on 78. That was not there when I moved to Hillside. So that's the change. And I don't have to spell it out to you because they are not coming to visit me, by the way. Okay? I just want to say that. And I've watched kids, when I moved here, I'm right across from the playground. So I've watched kids go in the playground, play all day basketball, not even when the school itself was open, and have fun. The biggest thing is a fight over who was the first to jump rope or something. Now it is locked and there are no kids. Where are our children? I have been in an organization for 45 years. And out of that 45 years, I have been with sometimes 100 kids per year, 40 kids per year, and with what we know as the Zenos and Kudos youth group. I have been the national youth coordinator for them. And we meet here at Hillside High School the 3rd Monday of every month. And in September, we meet every Monday and Tuesday. I have had, at some point, we could not fit into the cafeteria because there were too many kids. That's one of my success stories standing there. No, she was a Zeno. We realized that if you give children something to do and keep them busy, there's not a lot of time for anything other than I'm tired, and we know that kids get tired real quick now. I am a Southerner by birth, and I'm sure I'm the oldest person in this room right now, I'm sure. So, having said that, you have no idea at how smart the kids are, how smart. Recently, I sat in a conference with 500 teenagers in Maryland. And if you want to know anything about anyone, ask a kid. They know. And I said to them, you know, there was a man in the lobby. I said, I moved away because he just kept wiping his face. And you know, since COVID, we're all real. And one of the kids standing next to me from, I think he said he was from Washington. He said, Miss Watts, that's because you didn't pay attention to what was in the handkerchief. I said, no, he was white. He said, Miss Watts, you are so old. Thanks a lot for that one. But what I want to say is that I'm sure I'm old school, being the oldest one here. We were all raised differently. And I find that no matter where we are from in this world, there's something I could say that was, say, common to where I'm from, and you would say, oh, my mother said the same thing, and you're from another part of the world. That isn't happening too much now, because I deal with kids, lots of kids, every day, every month, since for the last 45 years. You're either going to be the parent or you're going to be their friend. I'm not so sure that like I said in the beginning, our kids are real smart. They're real smart. Hillside, I have watched, like I said, kids just in the playground, on bicycles, skating everywhere. Now I don't see them. Where are you guys? In the house, TikTok, and everything else. You have no idea how much fun you could have if you just come outside and get to know your neighbor, get to know your friends and your classmates. I've come here at the beginning of the year and asked, would you like to join a youth group? Because we meet, a lot of kids say, I don't want to because you have to do community service. You do, you do. You have to remember from where you've come, and to whom much is given, much is what? Required. So, we do community service. We give to the needy, we give clothing, we give shoes. And at one point, there was so much being given to us that we meet in the parking lot. Now we come to do that. Here's my question again. Where are the children? Where are they? Parents have to work. Things are very expensive. You're not home. There are a lot of after school. I have sat next to kids in that cafeteria, and they've said, Miss Watts, guess what a kid did today at school? And I'm like, did you tell the teacher? Kids don't snitch. They don't. They don't tell on each other. When you find it out, it's like a month old, if not a year. It happened already. So I say that Hillside, when I say Hillside, I'm not speaking of the township itself. I'm speaking of those of us who have allowed our children to be young adults. They get to do things now we could never do. They get to go walk out of the house. They don't have to say where we're going, where they're going. They walk from school. I have sat in the parking lot and watched the kids walk home. And I can almost tell you I notice a lot of them are alone. And there's a club called Don't Eat Alone. I don't know if you've heard of it. When the kids, if one student sees another student sitting in the cafe eating by themselves or in gym off by themselves, you're supposed to go and ask, could you join them? I think if we are going to make this a better place, we're going to have to remember that we are the adults, we are the parents, they are the children. With all of the drugs and the vapor and what have you, we have to remember, you can't just talk about it, you gotta be about it. You can't just say the kids are this, the kids are that, they're smoking, they're vaporing, they're doing, when they see you doing it. You can't say, oh, look, you have to stop lying. When I ask you something, tell me that. You can't do that when they hear you do it. You understand what I'm saying? So when I say the changes I've seen in Hillside, I'm really talking about me and all of you. No man is an island. And we as African Americans, we have come a long way. And when you hear now about the hard times that are coming, we know hard times, and we know we're not worried because we're gonna get through this, we're gonna do this. But we are used to doing it together as partners. So hats off to all the people who are here today, because they took time out to do that. And that's what you want the children to see, the adults do that. So Hillside Township is great. We just have to be the people to make it better. And remember, with our kids, if you want them to do better, it's like the saying, if you want to feed them and they're hungry, don't just give them a fish. Teach them how to fish. Let them see you doing the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm sure
sure you heard this already, but thanks for coming out. We really appreciate letting everybody know some of the situation and one of the big problems that we're having in Hillside. My name is Calvin Lofton. I work at the Hillside Community Center in the evening, and I'm the evening supervisor. So I want to thank Superintendent Glover and Melba for putting this together. Evidently, they must have been in my head or they heard me, because right now I'm having some problems with the kids at the community center. And I was saying, we have to find a way to stop this. And as Superintendent Glover said, it's addiction. You know, these kids come up to the community center every day, the same ones. They started in the wintertime. I said, what's going on? Where you guys going? They go in the bathroom, and I'm like, 6 people in the bathroom, 8 people in the bathroom. I go in there, and I corner them. I was like, what are y'all doing? There's smoke in there. Oh, we ain't doing nothing. Oh, yes, you are. Why y'all smoking in here? For one, because I got little kids that come in here. So I do not want them to be infected with some of the things that you guys are doing. And then I asked them, are you getting high from this? Why are you doing this every day? The same kids, pretty much. And then they're bringing in other kids, you know, that want to be a part of something, you know. And that's the bad part. They're not bullying them, but some kids don't really have a lot of friends, or they want to be, you know, they want to be cool or whatever. So the guys that I'm chasing every day to stop smoking, get out. I put them out the building. Don't come here. I don't want to see you here because you're infecting the rest of my kids. That's coming here to have a nice time. And every day, another kid is with another kid. I'm like, you don't supposed to be with him. You're not like him. You shouldn't be a part of him, what he's doing. So I fight with him. Recently, I called the police and I asked them, I said, is there any way we can hit these stores? And, you know, I know it was ABC, they can go in there, they can send a minor in there and see if they would sell it to a minor. Because we did this, like I said, I've been at the community center for over 20 years, and we had to do this with cigarettes because they were selling the kids cigarettes. So they sent in younger kids, and then they wound up finding them, and then it got tight, so they stopped doing it. So that's why I asked the police, I said, can we do this again? Can you send, you know, they said we don't have the staff, but we need the staff. I mean, we need the kids. You find kids that's in trouble, maybe they'll help you out. Send them in there, they buy it. Now we start finding these stores. When we start hitting them in their pockets, they really react. They stop selling it to our kids. They don't care about our kids. We care about our kids. So, like I said, we're a Hillside family, and, you know, like I said, I want to thank them for putting this together, because we have to make sure we have awareness for all the things that's going on in Hillside, especially with our youth. They're trying to grow up, and Hillside is a very great community. You know, a lot of people are trying to move in here because, you know, it's not a lot of violence and stuff of that nature. But now, with our kids stepping across the line and they want to be a part with the kids, so some kids in Newark can come over, like, what are you guys doing over here? Oh, we just, y'all go over there, y'all got a lot of basketball over there. Let our kids play, you know. I don't want them to bring that negativity into our area. I mean, they can go where they want, I say it, but if they don't leave, I can't make them leave. But I let them know that I'm watching them. I don't want those type of kids to influence our kids that, you know, so-called want to be cool. And I just wanted to talk about that real quick, but, you know, I want to thank again everybody for coming out. You know, we got to all work together. This is the Hillside family. We see stuff, we got to mention it. I've been with the police lately, calling them up, because now they got those little guns they shooting around, and it's a mess. But now the police are starting to come over nightly, so we're gonna put it to end at the community center. I don't know what's gonna happen after that, but I can't have it where I'm at. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Melba and Superintendent and Hillside Public Schools for putting this event together and for everyone attending. My name is Miriam Cortez, and I am the Mental Health Administrator for the County of Union. I work for the county's Department of Human Services. And I think it's very appropriate that when the superintendent kicked off today's program, he did mention that this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Every May, Mental Health Awareness Month is recognized annually. And one thing that I wanted to speak about a little bit regarding the mental health perspective is currently, we have been hearing reports that we are currently in the middle of a youth mental health crisis. In 2021, the U.S. Surgeon General published an advisory regarding the mental health crisis. For anyone that's interested in reading it, it's a great read. You can Google it. Just Google U.S. Surgeon General Protecting Youth Mental Health, and you will find it. And in there, it lists different sectors and different categories for what different sectors can come together to make action plans to do something. And some of the sectors listed were family members, community caregivers, educators, local, state government, municipal government, and school districts. And so I think I share that just to say that based on what we've been hearing today from the different perspectives on the panels and everyone in attendance, Hillside is on track for doing that and starting these conversations, and having this as the launch and the kickoff to create action plans is a great start. From the human services and the county perspective, I've been taking a lot of notes since I've been here. I feel fortunate actually that I did wind up on panel 2, so I could listen to a lot of what panel 1 was saying, because I think it's very important from the county government perspective and from a human services lens. We view ourselves as the listeners. We're listening to what's happening out there in the community. We're plugging into what people are saying, what are the trends that are happening, because then we take that information and that is how we figure out what resources need to be out there in the community. And every community is different. It's not a one-size-fits-all model, so it's important to be having these local conversations because every community is going to need something different, and therefore the resources have to be out there to match that particular need. And in regards to resources, one of the things that I do in my office is I get what we call INR calls, which is information and referral. So that's people that are calling our office that are looking for services that need help. It could be mental health related, it could be substance related. But one of the things that I hear all the time when we provide these resources and information is, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know that was out there. So there are resources out there that are available. We heard a great presentation this morning from and Prevention Links, and Prevention Links is one of our very close partners in the county for the work that is done in the community. So spreading awareness, spreading education, letting people know what is out there is a huge factor in what can lead to prevention efforts. And I just want to thank you again, because I think this is a very important conversation, and I'm happy to be part of it. And I know, as the councilwoman said, she had an ask of everyone in attendance about what was going to be done next, and she gave you some action steps. And what I can say from my role as a mental health administrator, for my action steps, is I'm happy to take all this information that I learned today from all of you and take it back to the Department of Human Services and share it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes our panel discussions. Do we have any comments? We do have the Girl Scouts of Hillside here. Give them a round of applause. They help. I wanted to know, were there any comments from the youth speaker on behalf of the Girl Scouts? She doesn't want to speak. Any other students or any other parents or anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment? Well, we thank you.
I would.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm Mrs. Abram, live in Hillside. I have children going to Hillside School also. And is this the first meeting that y'all ever had about the drugs?
We used to have a municipal alliance where it will all be filtered, but in the high school or in the district, this is something that the superintendent is spearheading.
Which is wonderful, which is great. I was just listening to a part of it, and if I knew that this was going to happen, I wouldn't have made plans this morning. But since I can't miss it, I had to come here and just get me some of it. So as sitting there, what's going on and what's taking place and everything, and like the young lady just had said, if we see action, people is doing drugs on our street, and we could always get in contact. Before I leave today, I would like paper information, who I can get in contact with besides my police, of course I'm always getting in contact with them. And for reaching out for help, because where I live at, it's about to take over, you know? And it's really outrageous, and these kids start at 10 years old. 9 years old. You'd be surprised what these 9 years old is doing with the drugs and everything. It's not so much as the children, but most children are followers. And if they're followers and they're weak, they're going to take up with the older ones, and the older ones going to have them out there selling the stuff because they know they can't go to jail. They'll get a slap on the wrist. And, you know, something needs to be done. I thank you for this group section today and what have you. Just to come out and just to sit down and listen, you know. So, like I said, I would love some numbers before I walk out the door, and I have to go in a few minutes because I have another engagement. But this is great because drugs is taking over now. It's taking over. Not only in schools. Schools is tough. Boy, schools is, boy, if you're a teacher, you got a job on your hands. Because some of these kids will cuss you from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head and look and say, thank you for letting me cuss you out. So we have to do something, okay? So thank you.
Thank you. One more comment.
Is there any way we can get the community aware of these things? This room should be filled to the capacity.
We have.
I got 8 robocalls for this meeting, so there's no way I could have missed this meeting, and I could not say I wasn't aware of it. And that is the key in Hillside.
We will continue to do our due diligence, Hillside Public Schools, to make sure that we do our part to make the community
And how
aware.
are you working with the mayor? Is the mayor-
We're working with the Township of Hillside. The
Okay.
council was
Because
here.
that is the key.
Mhm.
We're not aware of things that go on. We should not have to go to the municipality and see a flyer. Everybody doesn't go interact there. We should have some kind of venue that everybody in Hillside is know what's going on.
I'm in agreement. So we do have a plan of action, and the communication from the community's perspective outside of the public schools, we hear you. We will work with the township to see what their community resource is, or I should say communication resource, so that other than those that are connected to Hillside Public Schools will get the information. The flyer was dropped on every single electronic board in the school district as well. So that's how we, outside of having your personal number, if you're not connected to a student, everything is on those community boards outside of each school in the district of Hillside. So if you want to kind of know sometimes, just drop by a school and look at the board.
I'm not connected to a student.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
But a friend gave me and put me on the robocall.
In addition, though, our flyers are usually on the community boards in front of the schools as well.
Okay.
So we have a plan of action. This is the first of many. We're going to continue to have these conversations. We're going to continue to move forward with action. So I think it was summed up by the superintendent and Councilwoman Hyatt. We will go back, we will meet. There may be some Zooms to make sure that we stay on track for an ordinance and to make sure everyone is, you know, aware of what's going on. And we'll continue to keep having the conversations. And I truly, truly appreciate all the speakers, everyone for coming. And it's not over because we do have some refreshments for you. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you.